What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter's at ImmacSports.
Instagram is also at Immac Sports.
TikTok, YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It's episode 288. We are back after a week. Plenty of baseball to talk about today, and a little NBA playoffs in the second half, too. That's starting today with the play-in.
Yeah. Break last week. This week, we're hopping right back into it. Power rankings, which will be right on schedule. And then our usual early season buy or sell, 4 teams, 4 players. It's very tough to narrow down to 4 players. That was pretty tough choices, choosing those 4 guys. 3 good, 1 bad. We'll get into those later on in the episode, but we'll get it started with the opener and a couple of, I guess, semi-Bay Area stuff here. 1.5 Bay Area things.
Yeah, yes, the Warriors did lose a heartbreaker on Easter to Houston by 1 point, but Steph Curry coming back and scoring 29 points in limited time, inches away from a game winner in this one too. It does give me hope that Steph Curry will not have any long-term issues here and will in fact be playing tomorrow night in the play-in against the Clippers, giving us a shred of hope. It was just so exciting to have him back because the Warriors have been completely unwatchable over the past month. So even though it was a loss, I will take the last 2 weeks of a little bit of hope being instilled into the Warriors as the best thing, non-baseball wise.
Yeah. I have not watched the Warriors really at all. I watched the Sharks dwindle down their playoff hopes to 0 in what's still been a very positive, good season for them. And Macklin Celebrini obviously doing a lot of very inspirational things for, I guess, Bay Area hockey. I don't know. But I'll go with the A's and them gaining their confidence in New York. I think after the start of the season, 3-7 it was after the first 3 series. No, it's got to be 3-6, I think, after the first 3 series of Toronto, Atlanta, and home at Houston. Going to New York for a 6-gamer, you could have been like, okay, this might be an early spot where the A's just, have their tail in between their legs, go 1-5, come back home, and the season's kind of already not over, but you don't have a lot of confidence in it being anything in 2026. They lose the first one in New York, and then they win 5 straight. And it wasn't the brand of baseball that we expected for the A's if they were going to win 5 straight. I think you would have expected high-scoring games. The offense just outpowers teams. But the A's pitched 3 shutouts in 5 games. They have a 26-inning scoreless streak. They get 2 saves from Joel Kuhnel, which is just ridiculous. They get scoreless starts from guys like Aaron Savalier, JP Springs. That's multiple lefties in there. Jeffrey Springs, JT Ginn, just phenomenal pitching from the A's over the span of those 6 games, I guess even including the one that they lost. Offense wasn't anything crazy, a couple of 1-0 wins in there, but it did enough. Obviously didn't look too well yesterday in the first game back home against the Rangers, but that's something that usually tends to happen after a really good road streak. You come home and you lose your first game at home. Hopefully they get back tonight on the win column. They're 8-8, and overall, way better than what I would have expected in the first 15, 16 games of the season. 6-9 was something I was going to be content with for the first 15. For them to go 8-7 was a shocker for me, and I'm very, very happy with how they've done in the first 15 games of the season.
Emphasis on the style they did it too, like you said, crazy.
Yeah. Moving on, though, to player, pitcher, rookie in the week. Kind of a whole bunch of different choices here. We'll start off with the player of the week. Always get that one started. MVP of the last week. Who is it?
A lot of people have wrote off Jordan Walker and everything involving the Cardinals, but he's been awesome. Leading baseball with 7 homers. 4 of them were last week. Walker's been a big reason why St. Louis is still at 500 despite a really rough pitching staff.
Yeah, Jordan Walker is going to be my player of the week as well, too. He's actually at 8 homers now.
Oh, boy.
From yesterday, he had 2 homers, I believe. So, yeah, 8 for 20, 4 homers, 4 RBIs. Maybe, get some guys on from St. Louis. But Jordan Walker is playing well. We will talk about him in depth in a little bit, actually. So that'll be fun. Moving on to pitcher of the week. Who'd you choose?
Honorable mention to our guy Jeff Springs, all the Kansas City guys who helped me out in fantasy, Shota Imanaga, but the most dominant guy has been Jose Siriano. He's already 4-0. He just won a big game in Cincinnati, 7 shutout, back-to-back games with 10 strikeouts. He's been amazing for LA.
I'm going to go Mason Miller. Shout out to Chris Bubich, Jose Soriano, who we'll talk about, Shota Imanaga, Jeffrey Springs. But Mason Miller was quite literally untouchable this past week. He faced 9 hitters, struck out 8 of them, completely scoreless, obviously, 3 innings pitched. Hasn't turned into too many saves yet for Mason Miller, just because of the situations that he's been in. But throughout the season so far, 7 1/3 innings, 19 strikeouts, a whip of .27, and a negative FIP by like a wide margin. He's quite literally unhittable right now. His K- walk is at 75%. He's striking out nearly 80% of hitters that he faces with 61%. I mean, these are just like unheard of numbers. Like they're cartoonish. So you don't even get this good if you're playing on rookie and road of the show. It's just a phenomenal start, and I feel like we'll never see relievers win pitcher of the week, but I think Mason Miller deserves it for how good he's been in the start of the season.
Definitely
Rookie
need
of the
to
week.
apologize to Mason Miller for picking Edwin Diaz. That's my bad, guys. But rookie of the week, like we said 2 weeks ago, this is looking like a very great rookie class. Guys like Sal Stewart and Jose Fernandez have had their moments. But I'm going to go with Parker Messick of the Guardians, 6 2/3, huge win over Atlanta over the weekend with 5 Ks. I feel like he's been on the radar ever since he beat the Dodgers a couple weeks ago, but 17 innings with only 1 earned run now is really dominant stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to put Messick, another one of those underrated rookies that I actually had a really good, string of starts last year as well too to end off his season. I went with another rookie who's kind of been overshadowed by a bunch of different people and maybe his team not performing that well. Moises Ballesteros, big, not really catcher anymore, but DH for the Cubs. Really good week, 7 for 12, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, and only 1 strikeout. Probably the best hitter week from a rookie. I know Messick probably deserves if it were a pitcher, but I decided to go to the hitter route for a guy that I think is getting overshadowed by a slower start from his team. Which brings us to our power rankings, second power rankings of the season. Moving day. Obviously, this is one of the rankings that's probably going to be a bit more volatile than the rest of the season because we are 3 weeks in instead of 1 week in, and not 36 weeks in comparison to 34, where we kind of know what teams are. We're still learning a ton. So I guess we'll start off with the teams that are just off. I had a ton of them. Or just missed or were on last time and not on here. So who are the teams that kind of fit that category for you?
I had 4 American League teams that dropped out from last week. The American League wildcard race has just been really ugly through the first month. Detroit, Toronto, Boston, and Houston. There are a ton of other teams just on the outside, like Minnesota's playing really well. I didn't write anyone else. These are the teams I'm dropping, though.
Yeah, the 5 that I had that were on my list last time and not on my list this time were the teams I had 11 through 15 last time. So I guess it kind of worked out well with that I didn't have any of them super high up, but I think those are the higher teams as a little bit more, okay, don't panic here. This is just a bad week of baseball. This happens for every team. So the teams I have just off are Philadelphia, which maybe I'm panicking a little bit for, Kansas City, which the offense has been terrible, Boston, kind of a story of what the fuck is going on there. We'll talk more about them in a little bit, I believe. Houston, who's off to the worst 8-game stretch that they've had since 2013, losing 8 in a row. That includes sweeps against the Rockies and the Mariners. And then the Cincinnati Reds, I left off. They've played a lot of close games. I know they're above 500 right now, but the run differential kind of indicates that maybe that won't stick. Usually 1-run games are the games that you sometimes win, sometimes lose. There's not really a consistent thing there. So I did leave them just off, and they were 15 on my list last time. So getting into the list, at number 15, who do you have?
We'll start it off with the Athletics of West Sacramento. Not ranked, of course, last time. First time back on my list in a long time. Last night against the Rangers was rough, of course, but it's hard to ignore what they just did on their East Coast road trip. Imagine what this team could do if they're hitting well, too, at the same time on the same night as they're pitching, as well as they have been outside of Texas. Endless possibilities. I felt like we had to talk about them after that road trip.
I left the age just off. Maybe it's just I didn't want to be not biased, but like I don't know. Maybe it's just jinxing them or whatever. I didn't want to jinx them, so I did leave them just off. Maybe I did just jinx them now by saying that I didn't want to jinx them. Who knows? But number 15, I have the Minnesota Twins. Winners of 3 in a row, just destroyed Garrett Crochet last night. They're 10-7, 92 runs scored is like the third or fourth most in baseball right now. They're putting up a ton of runs. The pitching hasn't been great, but it's been good enough. And when you score that many runs on offense, it makes it work. So Minnesota unranked, obviously last time. They are no longer unranked and hold the 15 spot for me. Number 14.
At number 14, I do have those Cincinnati Reds. I'm going to drop them, but only 2 spots. I like a lot of different things about the 9-7 Reds, but they're just not really consistent enough to be moving up yet. Pittsburgh has done the same thing a little bit better. Plus, there's always Chicago and Milwaukee ready to get some payback on these guys. So I still got my eye on them. But, in an era where you can win games with great pitching, good power hitting, it's always possible, but they are moving down.
Number 14 for me, an unranked team last time. Baltimore Orioles, they're 9-7. Run differential isn't anything crazy, but I think they've been, or I know they've been winning games without guys like Pete Alonso really getting started on offense. And obviously they're still dealing with injuries to Jordan Westburg and Jackson Holliday as well, too. They've done a good job of navigating those things. I wouldn't be shocked if they stick around here for the rest of the season. So the Baltimore Orioles ranked for the first time this year. Number 13.
At 13, I have the Philadelphia Phillies staying on. They're actually moving up 1 spot, too, for me. And I know a lot of people have been worried about Philly, but this is kind of exactly how I thought they would look. About 500 for most of the year, ton of homers, but they strike out a lot. Justin Crawford's been great. The issue is they don't really have anyone outside of Christopher Sanchez they trust to go deep into games. So if the offense is really heating up right now, like we saw yesterday against the Cubs, there's definitely still hope here.
Number 13 is where I slotted the Texas Rangers, first ranked of the year. Hitting hasn't been great, but the pitching's been good. Part of that, I think, is playing in the ballpark that they do. Somehow, Globe Life Field has turned into Safeco 2.0. I don't know what it is, but it's a huge pitcher's ballpark. They don't allow runs there. They don't score runs there either. But it's working for them. We'll probably see like a City Field type adjustment in the next couple of years where they moved in the fences like 15 feet, which seems to be something that they always do at new ballparks, which is kind of a bit of a random tangent. But Texas Rangers, they sweep the Mariners. They're up from however many spots, unranked to 13. Number 12.
At number 12, I have those Seattle Mariners. Not the hardest faller of the season so far, but a -7 here for Seattle is definitely not what they were expecting. 8-7, at least when I did this yesterday, it's not that bad considering how terrible they've been hitting. Seattle's also able to reassert dominance onto Houston, a little 4-game sweep for him here. And of course, that pitching staff can always be trusted. So I will knock them down a peg, but I still believe they could win the division.
Number 12, one of the 6 teams that has 10 wins in baseball here. The Pittsburgh Pirates, 10-6, really good start. I'm not going to get into too much analysis here because we have a buy or sell on them coming up here in a few minutes. So I'll just say where I have them ranked, and that's number 12. Number 11.
Number 11, I have the Chicago Cubbies dropping down 1 spot. The Cade Horton injury is brutal, but come on, guys. This is just not good enough. Their very expensive lineup has looked mediocre compared to teams they played, like Pittsburgh and Cleveland, who are big risers, even if it has only been 2 weeks. It's just not good enough for the Cubbies.
Toronto Blue Jays, number 11 for me. Again, another team that we'll talk about. This is actually the first team on this list that has actually been on my list priorly. They obviously moved down 7 spots. Not a great start, 6-9. We'll talk about more of them in a little bit. Number 10.
Number 10, maybe controversial. The New York Mets will only drop 4 spots for me. Last place Mets have now lost 6 in a row, but I don't knock them all the way out. the offense has been terrible without Juan Soto, and everybody's just a little bit off right now. But I do trust a lot of the individuals on the Mets, a lot of starting pitchers I trust, which is more than we can say about last year's team. And this is kind of where we had last year's team before they collapsed, too. So I do feel comfortable keeping them in the conversation for the top 10, even if they've looked terrible.
Number 10, another unranked team, the Cleveland Guardians. They're 10-7, off to a good start this season. It's Cleveland recipe baseball. We've talked about this, I think, the last time we did our power rankings as well, too. That they pitch good. They don't hit a ton, but they hit in timely positions, and they play good defense. So Cleveland Guardians are at number 10 for me. Number 9.
All right, number 9, Texas Rangers, moving up from 15. One game over the A's now, and most of their offseason moves have actually looked pretty good so far. Nimmo and Gore have been great. They have a lot of firepower on this team. When healthy, DeGrom and Evaldi and Corey Seager, these guys should be winning games on their own. And so far, they've been able to do it.
Number 9, Utah, I'm going down. I have them going down as well, too, just not as far. The Chicago Cubs, which are 7-9, they moved down 2 spots for me. They have not been good to start the season, and it hasn't been a fun brand of baseball to watch, which usually tends to happen early in the season at Wrigley. It's not really the easiest place to play baseball, pitching or hitting at that point in the season. They've got some really bad performances, so much so that when my brother was at Wrigley on Sunday, I saw his location was in center field, and I thought they cut PCA to put him in center field for him. So it's been rough for some of those guys. I assume they'll figure it out, but not a pretty start. They moved down 2 spots. Number 8.
All right, number 8 is one of my unranked teams, too, the Pittsburgh Pirates. First of all, I apologize to Oniel Cruz. Even though he sucks in center field, he's been hitting like a demon this year. So turns out if you improve the lineup to a very pitching dominant team, you will win more games. I just didn't think it'd be this quick, I guess. And also, this is what happens when you call a guy up like Connor Griffin to improve the defense, and also probably the clubhouse energy too. 10-6, pretty good for the Buccos.
Number 8 is where I slot the Detroit Tigers. They moved down 2 spots. I know they're on a bit of a win streak now. They just swept the Miami Marlins, who are off to a good start, but they did also get swept by the Minnesota Twins, and it really wasn't that pleasant of a series to watch for them either. Pitching's been good. Offense has been okay. I think they'll be fine. That's why I didn't panic. But only 2 spots down for them. Number 7.
All right, at number 7, I will have the highest AL Central team, Cleveland Guardians. You can kind of tell I like them a little more than Detroit right now. Maybe I'm panicking, but this is 10-7 for Cleveland. They've looked really dominant against pretty much everyone other than the Braves, who we'll get to eventually. And I was worried about them for sure, but they just keep finding guys. Parker Messick, Chase DeLauter, Martinez, some new guys for the bullpen. Cleveland is just a way more balanced team than Detroit right now.
Number 7, the New York Mets is where I have them. I only move them down 2 spots. I know they're on a 6-game losing streak. I know it's like the sky is falling in New York right now, but they'll be fine. Juan Soto's hurt. Like, that's really what to take away is going on right now. He's not going to be out for too long. They'll be fine. The pitching is fine. The offense will be fine. It's just a slow start in April, and that happens in baseball for half the teams in the league, it feels like. Number 6.
Number 6, I have the Baltimore Orioles. I'm moving them up from 9 because I've just enjoyed watching them this year. It looks like they're finally starting to figure it out on offense too, which is kind of a requirement for their situation right now. Baltimore's been able to win the shootout game, of course, but I've noticed they've been better in the 2-1 game too this year. Shout out to Trevor Rogers.
Number 6 is where I slot the San Diego Padres. This is the highest mover for me, unranked number 6. I'm not sold on the Padres by any stretch of the imagination yet. A 4-game sweep over the Rockies is nice, but I'm not moved from it, and I'm not going to be moving them up to the top 3 just because of it. Obviously, the bullpen's good, but I just do think there is some pitching mishaps in the later half of the rotation. I don't love the lineup still. And I'm curious to see how they would match up in a series against the Dodgers or the Braves or someone like that, which I think we actually have coming up here very soon. Number 5.
Yeah, number 5 is where I got San Diego. Also my highest mover, at least upwards here. 5 in a row for San Diego, 8-2 in the last 10. I just also am not really sure how sustainable it's going to be. They could very well end up back at 82 wins where everybody had them. But they've once again figured out that Slam Diego formula of just trust the bullpen until it's time to hit that big 3-run homer. And, it does help that they played Colorado. That'll help the numbers a little bit. But at the end of the day, you win games, you get noticed. So I moved them up.
Number 5, moving down 3 spots. The Seattle Mariners, they just completed pretty much a must-have 4-game sweep over the Houston Astros, who are just in pitching hell right now. Offense has not gone going, but it's been okay because the pitching has been, I think, the best in baseball, if not like top 3, top 4. They don't allow a lot of runs. Obviously, part of that's playing in Seattle and in the cold weather. They'll be fine. I'm just moving them down 3 spots because I think there's a few teams that deserve recognition over them. Number 4.
At number 4, I'm going to keep Milwaukee at the same spot I had them, the 4 spot, even though they got humbled a little bit this week, swept by Washington. But it is early. My opinions haven't really changed on Milwaukee. Even though they lost 5 in a row, they should be right back in there in the central hunt after they figure out their pitching, like they always do.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. Losers of 5 in a row, but moving up 4 spots is where I have the Brewers. And I think that's more of a other teams have not looked as good as I expected type situation when it comes to the Mets, the Tigers, the Cubs and whatnot. And the Brewers, I know they had a bad weekend, but they will be fine. They're not a team I'm stressed about. They play a good brand of baseball, and they will win a lot of games this year. So Milwaukee Brewers +4. Number 3.
Number 3, another team stick and put is the New York Yankees. It looked like they switched places with the A's after the first game of that series. The Yankees bullpen has blown 4 games this week, at least over the last 7 days. We're on Tuesday right now. And they almost blew it again last night against the Angels too, but they do sit atop the AL East despite their 4-man rotation situation. As long as Judge, Stanton, and Bellinger are healthy at the same time, they're going to score runs. And they are healthy for now, so I'm going to keep them here.
Yeah, the Yankees move up 2 spots for me. They stick at the number 3. 9-7 maybe isn't the record that Yankees fans were hoping for right now, but they'll be fine. The bullpen I know has struggled a little bit. I also think that will be fine. That's a spot throughout the year that I think they'll add to internally and externally via trade. Lineup is good. The rotation will be fine, especially when Cole, Rodon, and Schmidt come back. We talked about this, I think, in our season preview, that a bad April for the Yankees would not surprise me. And I don't think 9-7 is a bad April. I think they'll be fine. They're good. It's the Yankees. Number 2.
Number 2, sounds like we're on a similar page here with the Atlanta Braves, moving up from 7 for me. Atlanta's only 5-5 over the last 2 weeks, but they're getting that series win. They got a 40-plus run differential already. The lineup is so much better than last year, too. So if they keep dropping 10 spots multiple times a week, they could absolutely be better than Philly and the Mets. So I did it. I moved it up just like everybody else.
Yeah, the Braves are +7. 40-run differential is really good. We'll talk about them more in a minute, so I didn't want to go too far into them, but they've been really fun to watch. They've been really good. And then number 1, we know who it is. It's the Dodgers. They don't move for any of us. They're 12-4.
Yep.
If you want to say something about them, you can. I'm not gonna because
Shohei is still the best player in the league. Turns out,
except for Andy Pages, apparently. He's been really good as well too. But Shohei, yeah, he's Shohei. Moving on to our buy or sell stock. Obviously, the stock is something that's moving all the time. If it's high, do you buy even when it is high because it's expected to stay, or are you selling because you think they're going to fall off, or the other way around as well too? We'll start off with the team who's been really good, who we just talked about briefly, the Atlanta Braves. Are you buying stock on the Braves that they're legit? Are you selling and thinking that they'll fall off?
Yeah, I'm going to buy Atlanta stock right now. They haven't lost a series yet, and if these guys can get like 25% more healthy, they could go on an even crazier run than we've seen, just based off of how explosive the offense has been. And that's not even mentioning all the guys on the injured list who are going to come in and start games pretty soon here. So I'm on board with Atlanta, sure.
Yeah, I'm buying on the Braves as well too. There's not a ton of he's doing that like going on their offensive side. I know Dom Smith and Mauricio Dubon have been better than expected, but to counter that, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Austin Riley have not been that good, and I expect them to come alive at some point. The pitching has definitely been better than I expected. Bryce Elder and Reynaldo Lopez are not guys that are going to hold one ERAs, nor is anybody in the league. But Lopez is a guy who's been an All-Star before, or I believe so. Um, and has been good in the past. He's just dealt with injuries. Bryce Elder, actually, same thing. He's been an all-star before. He's been really good in the past. He just wasn't good in the past couple of seasons. But regardless, even if they regress, they'll be fine. Um, they're winning by a lot right now. The bullpen is exactly how you want it to be. I think for them, they expected going into the season with five strong starters. Really, just have to bridge the gap from the sixth, seventh inning because you have the eighth inning and Suarez and Iglesias locked down. I know it hasn't exactly worked like that with injuries and whatnot, but I like the Braves. I bet on them to win the division for a reason. Back in February, I didn't pick them to win the division. I don't think when we got to our predictions a couple weeks ago. I don't exactly remember, but they're fine. I like them. And maybe not 40 run differential through 17 games good for the rest of the year, but they should win 90 plus, I'd say. The Boston Red Sox have not been good. They are sitting at 6-10. Are you buying the Red Sox while they're low, or are you selling them because you think they're gonna suck?
I want to hold my Boston stock just because it's so early, but for the sake of this exercise, I will sell it. There's a lot more bad than good right now. I really hope Crochet isn't hurt because he's been on Crochet like this week, and it's just time to make some changes in Boston. And I think that the team around Roman Anthony that does finally figure out how to win, because I think they will. It's Boston, and they always have a run every decade. I think that team is going to look a lot different than the one that we're seeing. So I will sell this version of Boston, even though I think they could turn it around. It's not going to be to the World Series.
Yeah, I didn't have them as a playoff team. I think more of that was because the AL was so stacked, more than I didn't believe in the Red Sox to do it. I did say that the lineup had the ability to underwhelm, and it has before this season. Like they don't have a ton of power. Guys like Jaron Duran, Roman Anthony really haven't gotten off to the starts that they've been looking for. The rotation, Crochet, I think will be fine. I hope will be fine, considering I have him in fantasy. But Suarez, I'm scared for. Same with Bayo. There's some, visible possible regression there last year as well too. That kind of expected them to not have as good as seasons. Aroldis Chapman, the ERA is fine, but kind of a slow start based off of some of the advanced statistics. But I think he will be fine. The rest of the bullpen outside of Whitlock, I've said I'm scared about, and I am still scared about. So I will sell my Boston stock. I didn't have much of it, but I'll sell the rest of it right now because I don't think that they are a team that gets into the playoffs, like I said at the beginning of the season. The Toronto Blue Jays are technically better than the Red Sox, maybe just because they haven't played that 16th game and are 6-9 right now, but 2-8 in their last 10, 57 runs scored. Are you buying or selling Blue Jay stock?
I will buy a little bit of Toronto stock. Things are really dark right now. So many injuries, but there's a chance that after the end of this week, that could also be the turning point here. The pitching staff just it looks worse than Colorado's right now. I counted 11 different key players with significant injuries that aren't coming back until next month. So I say that they will come back strong eventually, but I wouldn't expect it to be this week. So I will buy a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays, if they actually were a stock, would be a team or a stock that people are just trying to dump right now. They want to get as far away as they possibly can with it because the offense has been really, really slow since the first series of the season, which is weird because usually this is the type of offense that will outperform expected statistics because they do have the like intangible, tough at bat 1 through 9 mindset, which is kind of the main reason why I think they got to the World Series last year. But the injury bug has been so real for them that now, starting Brandon Valenzuela as your catcher is not really the way that you want to go. Kirk, Barger, Springer are all here on offense. The pitching injuries bleed into that side as well too. Only Ponce has been the guy who's gotten like hurt in the regular season so far, but they went into the start of 162 without Savage, without Bieber, without Barrios, without Jimmy Garcia. And I expect those guys to come back. I know Bieber just got moved to the 60-day IL, so maybe not him for a little while, but I do think they'll get reinforcements throughout the season. I think they will be fine. I will buy a ton of Blue Jays stock right now because I think it's just way lower than it should be. And I know it's looked really bad in the first 15 games of the season, and maybe it's just like because they swept the A's. I don't know. But I think they will be better. I think they are a team that we're not worried about once we look at the end of 162, and they'll probably still win, 87 to 90 games. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been really, really hot. Like we mentioned, 10-6, one of 6 teams to win 10 games so far, one of the better run differentials in baseball, only 63 runs allowed. What do you think about the Pirates?
I think it's been really fun, but I will sell. They move up a ton in the power rankings, of course, for both of us, but I think it's just as likely that Cincinnati or the Cubs get them back next month. The Central might look wide open right now, but there's some pretty good teams and a couple of pretty legendary managers that stand in the way of Pittsburgh who really haven't been in this situation in a while. And I think they do fall just short.
Yeah, the offense has been doing a lot better than what I think it will look like after 162. Brandon Lau and Neil Cruz have been great. Ryan O'Hearn's been a great pickup. But I think it slows down quite a bit. O'Neal Cruz is still having the same zone contact percentage at 75%, which is really low, which is more of a 225 batting average than it is of a 355 batting average. So I think there is some regression there. Obviously, if he gets on base, he'll steal bags. So there is still, good value with him even at 225, I'd expect. The pitching is good enough that it makes me want to say that this can stay, 500 plus teams sneak into the wild card. But Mlodzinski and Keller have been a lot better than what they've should have been so far. So I think they'll regress a little bit. I know they're getting Jared Jones back, so I think he'll be fine. I don't think anyone's batting an eye at Braxton Ashcraft or Bubba Chandler having really good starts. And Paul Skeens is obviously who he is so far, and I think he's actually been underperforming a little bit, but we know he will be fine. Bullpen is okay, and I think it sticks that way. But I'm going to sell my stock right now on them. One, I don't have a ton of it, and I think this is probably the highest that it'll go. I think the offense cools. Keller and Mlodzinski slow down. And since so many people like this team right now, and I think it's a sneaky, like, oh, this could be a team that wins the World Series. I don't believe that at all. I'll leave. I'm happy with what I've gotten from them so far. I don't need any more. Like I saw somebody have a bet where it was like plus 4,500 or something. Bet on the Pittsburgh Pirates to win the most games in the regular season, and it's a cash out from like 100 to 350 or something right now. Cash that shit out. Like there's zero chance the Pittsburgh Pirates lead the league in wins. And I know it's been a good start, so maybe cash out after this national series because they'll probably go 12-6. But do not hold that. That's a bad beat, and I can go on record and say that right now, and I'll be fine. I'm not worried about that at all. It's the fucking Dodgers, man. Like my gosh. Moving into the player side of our buy and sell, which my opinion makes it a bit more fun rather than just looking at the teams because you can dive a little bit deeper. Instead of it just being 26 people or 40 people, it's just one. We'll start off with Jordan Walker, who leads the league in homers, like we talked about, with 8. Off to a ridiculous start. Title Fandy Potheads for the highest F4 in the league at 1.3, or at least by hitters, that is. Jordan Walker, are you buying? Are you selling? What do you think about the hot start for the former top prospect?
The smart play would probably be to sell this immediately, but I thought, sure, why not? Because Jordan Walker might and probably will have more first half home runs than he's had over his last 3 years combined total. And he's not going to be walking like Juan Soto or anything like that, but it's much better that we've seen this year from the 23-year-old. This guy's also 6'6", 250 pounds now, too, by the way. That's incredible. I'm intrigued, and I want to hold on to my stock a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think the first thing for Jordan Walker, when we look at like a prospect who had high potential, didn't really turn into anything in the first 3 years, and now he gets off to this crazy start. Looking at how did this happen? His bat speed, max EV, average EV, hard hit rate have always been pretty elite. But in 2026, his chase is down 6%. His whiff is down 5%, which in turn means that his walk goes up and his strikeout goes down because he's having better plate decisions at the plate, of course. This also means he's able to maximize his quality of contact because he's not striking out as much. It means he's getting more balls in play. And this year, we've also seen his launch angle increase by 3 degrees, and his launch angle sweet spot, which is balls hit in between launch angles of 8 and 32, which just means more damage when you hit the ball, has gone from 5% the fifth percentile at 29% in 2025, now to the 97th percentile in 2026 at 47.6. So about a 17-point jump there, 18-point actually. His fly ball rate has also jumped 16%. His ground ball rate has gone down 14%, which just means he's putting the ball in the air more to start the season. And that's really good when you hit the ball hard, because obviously that means that you can hit homers. So the next thing I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, well, is this just coincidence? Or is this a material swing change that we're seeing from 2015 or not 2015? Well, I assume he's changed since 2015, but since 2025 to 2026. And in 2025, 31-degree swing path tilt, 6-degree attack angle. And in 2026, that degree of swing path tilt has gone up 1%, or up in a percentile, degree, whatever, to 32. And his swing degree attack angle has gone up by 3 degrees, which is a pretty significant increase. He's also changed his stance this year. He's standing 7.7 inches closer with his feet, closed his stance by 6 degrees, and he's standing 3 inches back, which is creating his intercept point with the baseball a bit further back in the stance and in the baseball's path, which means that he's having more time to see the baseball, which lowers his whiff and chase because he's actually being able to see it a bit longer. And it's also allowing him to use his elite bat speed to still get around the baseball and pull it, or power the ball to the opposite side of the field, which doesn't really matter because he has the ability to hit it over the right field wall as well too. He's made really good swing changes, is what I'm saying here. I obviously don't think he's a Barry Bonds 1.1 Aaron Judge OPS guy, but his 2026 stats indicate that there is a real chance that he could be like a 900 OPS guy in 2026. And if he is that, I think you'd buy his stock. And I am buying Jordan Walker's stock. I think he can be the guy that we originally expected him to be back in like 2021, 2020. Yeah. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And I believe he's like a free agent like next year or the year after. So maybe it's like a Joe Adell type situation. I don't know. Maybe a bit better than Joe Adell. He's also very fast, and he's a good fielder as well too. Moving on, as a lot, Cam Smith. I did not go as in depth for, but are you buying or selling Cam Smith and his hot start for the Astros? He's at 4th in the league in F4.
Yeah, I am going to be buying Cam Smith stock. I don't think he's necessarily going to be the next Kyle Tucker superstar that they were hoping for, but I think based off of the numbers, he's on pace for a guy who hits 20 homers and gets a bunch of walks and plays better defense than Altuve is going to be plenty enough for the Astros. So I will buy Cam Smith. I don't think they're going to walk out losers from the Cubs trade.
Yeah, I like Cam Smith when he got to Houston last year. I think I picked him to win Rookie of the Year last year. I'm happy it didn't go that way because that means that Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson had good rookie seasons, as they did, of course. But I'll jump into the changes. I think it's very, very rare, and I know it's very rare, to see a guy have his bat speed go up as much as Cam Smith has had it gone up this year, while seeing a whiff percent go down or even stay the same. I mean, that's just a logical standpoint. If you swing harder, you're probably swinging and missing more. His bat speed has gone up a ton this year. It's like 3.5 miles per hour, which I believe is like one of the highest in the big leagues. It's out at 98th percentile bat speed. He's actually had a weird 2026 though, where even though the whiff is down, the chase is higher, and he's making worse swing decisions. So maybe it's just a little bit of luck there. I don't know. He doesn't have a very good batted ball profile as well too. He's only pulling the ball in the air 4.5%, which is like super super low. But I do think he's a guy that can get away with a low pull air because he has the ability to hit the ball so hard. There's a direct correlation between bat speed and max exit velocity, and he obviously has that. And he's also very fast and a very good defender, which helps in terms of 162 WAR type stuff. I don't know if he's an 868 OPS guy like he is right now. With that low of a pull air, you're just not hitting the ball in the air pull side that much, which obviously in Houston is meaning home run, home run, home run, home run. We see that with Isaac Paredes. But I think he can hover around 800. And his glove and his speed is definitely good enough to be a 4 to 5 WAR player in 2026. So I don't think he's, an MVP type guy. I don't know if we'll ever see that from Cam Smith, but I think he's a guy who could be an all-star, and I'll buy Cam Smith. I think I'm convinced that this is the guy who's going to be here to stay. The pitching side, the only pitcher that we have, even though there's been a ton of good starts, there's been bad starts as well too, but the start, to me, at least it stands out from the rest, is Jose Soriano. He's been extremely dominant to start the season, averaging like over 7 innings per start right now for the Angels. What do you think of Jose Soriano, and are you buying the stock?
I think very highly, and I already have bought some of his stock because Brett dropped him in fantasy after his first start, and I picked him up and ran with it. I know, right? Can you believe it?
That's crazy.
And I ended up beating him at the end because of Soriano's last start. So that helped with my pitcher of the week pick. But back to the stock here. 2 more great starts in a row. He's throwing a ton of strikes, and he's already shown signs in the past of being able to miss barrels. That was the biggest thing that lit up to me looking at his Savant page. So, yeah, I will buy stock, continue to buy stock. He's not going to have a sub 1 ERA for the rest of the season, of course, but this is an all-star player and a guy that is the leader of the Angels right now. Of course, when Mike Trout's not playing.
Yeah, I really like Jose Soriano. When I watch him pitch, and even last year, very much of like the Sandy Alcantara archetype, where it's leading with the sinker, a ton of ground balls, get through innings quick. It makes stuff easy for yourself where you don't walk a ton of guys either. But stuff has changed in 2026 comparison to 2025. I'll hop into that right now. He was 49% sinker in 2025. Threw a similar percent left versus right, so it didn't really matter. 49% is a ton. Like a ton. He threw it 1,300 times last year. Only had a 2-run value. It wasn't that good of a pitch because he was throwing it so much. 54.7% hard hit, 286 expected batting average. He also threw his curve a lot at 27%. His fastball at four-seam fastball at 9%, and that was only 5% versus right-handed hitters. In 2026, that 49% sinker has dropped to 30%. Still around the same percentile handedness, so it's not like he's using it more versus left or right any. It's just kind of stayed the same there. Still actually exactly 27% with the curveball, but 23% four-seam fastball. So pretty large jump there, 14%. And he's also using the split that he throws 3% more, and now at 20% usage versus the lefties. So he's using that to get out against lefties, which is huge, something that he had a problem with last year. And I think the main thing is that when you throw a pitch 49% of the time, hitters can go up there and just know that pitch is coming and look for it because they know like they're going to get it at some point, whether it's what they start you with, whether that's what he ends you with. He's going to try to get to it at some point. And with him throwing it 30% of the time now, it gets hitters completely off that main offering, and he's able to use these other pitches to get guys out and then come back to the sinker later on in the outing and get even easier outs to, get a ground ball to start off the 6th inning or whatever it may be. You get a quick out. He's very good at controlling it. He's keeping it down this year as well, too. I really like Jose Soriano. I think he can throw 200 innings. I think he can be an all-star. I think there is a scenario or an alternate reality, maybe not an alternate reality, but there is a reality that he can win a Cy Young because of how easy he gets outs. I mean, Sandy Alcantara literally did it a couple of years ago. So I say that it'll be possible, but I don't think he does win Cy Young, of course. He still allows too much hard contact. But I definitely can see, a season where he goes 200 innings, posts like a 3.5 ERA, about a one strikeout per inning type of guy. And that will be good enough to get top 10 AL Cy Young for sure. I think he's definitely an all-star, though. I like Jose Soriano. He's not Pedro Martinez, of course, but he's good enough to be a guy that I'll buy stock for.
The rich man, Sevi?
I don't know.
Just some of the bad things you mentioned just reminded me of last night's first 3 innings against the Rangers. Like, why are you throwing it up there, man?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But on to Vinny Pasquantino, who's the one slow start that we had. I felt like it was mandatory to get at least one slow start in here. What do you think about Vinny so far? Are you selling his stock that while it's low, or are you buying while it's low?
Vinny was so good in the World Baseball Classic that I can't give up on him yet. It's the numbers aren't going to count, but in my mind, that's film of him hitting in this season, right? So I can't give up on him yet. He's still getting on base. There are much worse cases of ex-WOBA dropping all across the league. You look at someone like Jazz Chisholm, that will give you nightmares. But with Vinny, I don't think it's at that level yet. Especially with multiple guys who played in the tournament starting slow for whatever reason. I think if Vinny is still walking, still driving in runs, I'm going to be counting on him and buying his stock.
Vinny's always been a big guy, of course, but he's never been like that, oh my God, power, like 120 off the bat type of guy. It's always been low K for a first baseman, which gives him more balls in play. A guy that has good pull air, which maximizes his exit velocity output. If you hit the ball in the air, pull side, you're more likely to hit a homer than hitting it straight. Or you obviously can't hit a homer if you hit it on the ground. So when you pull the ball in the air, it helps you get those outcomes a bit more often. The bat speed was never crazy, kind of similar with what I just said. Is at 72.5 miles per hour last year, 58th percentile. Probably a bit lower than what you'd expect for a 6'3", 245 first baseman, but it's gotten bad in 2026. It's dropped quite a bit. 69.3% is 15th percentile. It's on par with guys like Alec Thomas, Brian Rocchio, and Mauricio Dubon, which is just not something that you'd expect for a guy like Vinny Pasquantino. Along with that, the K rate is up 8%. The zone contact is down 4%. The hard hit rate is down about 16%, which makes sense due to the bat speed. You're just not able to hit the ball as hard. So even with his pull air unaffected, which it is this year, the fly ball that he's hitting in the air just aren't as hard. They're softer. They're less powerful. They're not getting out. Even with the fences moved in Kansas City, he's also, playing in the cold air as well too, which doesn't help. But with all this being said, Vinny still has insanely good instincts at the plate. He doesn't whiff a ton. He still has a plus sense of the zone like he's had his entire career. He's obviously not a 415 OPS guy. That won't stick, but I also don't think he's a 798 OPS guy like he was last year. My guess is that he hovers around 680 to 700 for the rest of 2026 and gets around league average or slightly below it. Maybe a guy that still hits close to 30 homers because he plays 162 games. But I don't think Vinny Pasquantino is a guy that, we're looking to make a jump here at the age 28 season, which is, I think, something that a lot of people had going into the year. So I will sell Vinny stock. I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's, a plus first baseman anymore, which sucks.
Still got some Hosmer hope for him.
Yeah, Hosmer is actually kind of similar. I'd say maybe not as good as a glove, but
yeah, exactly.
Still, it actually pretty good back comp. Anyways, moving on. NBA playoffs technically start. Do you consider the play in the playoff? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
that starts today.
If you lose, you go home. So that part of it is intense. But yeah, not quite finished with the bracket yet. I did one today. I'll talk about it a little bit. Kyle, if you have something you want to talk about, please interrupt me. Come right in here.
I ain't got
Uh,
nothing.
all right. Well, let's start with the Western Conference, man. Tonight, Phoenix will host Portland. I actually have eight-seeded Portland winning this one. Danny Abdi is back. Um, I like them a little more than Phoenix, and I don't think they're worried. Kind of like going in and forcing double overtime against Denver and San Antonio last week helped. So Portland will move on. The game tomorrow, it may be crazy. They're 1-10 against the Clippers, but with Steph Curry back, I'm going to pick them to win the play-in game as a 10 seed on the road. Maybe it helps that they've been able to be there the past week, stay in Los Angeles, not have to worry about travel. But after that, I think they would get smoked by Phoenix, the 7 seed, ending their season, unfortunately. So let's go in the first round for the West. 1 OKC, 8 Phoenix. That's a sweep. Sorry, guys. Not even close. The next series, though, it's 4-5, Lakers and Houston. Very interesting matchup. I had written off Houston. You know this. And of course, they go win 10 in a row to finish off the year. And then, of course, Luka Doncic gets hurt. I guess he's back. I guess he's going to try to play. If he plays, I'm taking the Lakers. That's all I know about this matchup. Something rubs me wrong about Houston and KD and what in the world was going on with those guys when they weren't winning 10 in a row because it was ugly. I took the Lakers in 6. See if I regret that. Next series, though, should be the best one in the first round of the West. Denver hosting Minnesota. I mean, these guys just seem to always play each other. But Jokic and Murray have been on one lately. Like Murray's going to be an All NBA player this year for the first time since he tore his ACL. And to me, Denver is the third best team in the NBA because they are just so good at the end of the game. So I took them to beat Anthony Edwards in 7. Seems like an off year for Minnesota, even though everyone is so jumbled together. And then San Antonio, Portland, that would be a sweep too. Again, sorry guys, San Antonio's on one. They almost pushed for the 1 seed this year. So moving on to the second round, the last 4 in the West, OKC will play the Lakers. I have OKC in 5. This might be LeBron's last series on the Lakers, not in his career, but it could leave. I think OKC, OKC's a machine, man. They're not going to lose to the Lakers. That's all. I won't spend any more time on that. 2-3 though. San Antonio, Denver, Jokic versus Wemby. You know, who's going to take over best big man in the league? I'm sticking with San Antonio in 6. I think Denver has done more than a lot of people thought they would, but San Antonio's on a different level here, man. They're up at the top. Like they're ready to roll. And let's just get right into the West Conference Finals. I got 7 games. History says San Antonio has to get punched in the mouth before they win a series and go to the finals. But they've pushed OKC a couple times this year. However, I will stick with OKC over Wemby in 7 games. OKC going back to the finals. Go over to the East.
I'll let
Yeah.
you stop for a second.
Yeah,
That way
go
you
ahead.
can,
Go ahead.
catch your breath, get a sip of water if you want to. I think I agree. I don't know if I'd say, like I don't know if I could pick another team over OKC. Just what this year they've done, they turned kind of basketball a bit boring, which is usually a good indicator that you're really good at basketball. They play the way that the rules allow them to. Obviously, I hope Wemby, has a run here. I think it'll be fun for him if he gets to Western Conference Finals and we get to see him play in his first, we'll remember this series for 10 years type of series. I think that would happen if they play OKC in the Western Conference Finals. I think it happened as well too if they play Jokic and the Nuggets in the semis. So hopefully things go that way. I think I'd be cool with it, but I don't think I could pick a team to beat the Thunder in the Western Conference.
All right. On to the East. We'll start off with the play-in. The 7-8 is interesting. I mean, everybody in the East is within a couple games here. So Philly and Orlando. I ended up picking Philly. Dude, there's something wrong with Orlando. I know you were hoping too that these guys would have a turnaround. Turns out Atlanta was more of that team this year, and Orlando just lost to Boston's backups the other day to end off the season. So I don't have them beating Philly on the road. 9-10 actually is right now. End of the first, perfect timing. 26-24 Charlotte. I did end up picking Charlotte. If anyone's got play in Magic, it's the Miami Heat. But Charlotte at home, this is another one of those Eastern Conference teams that has definitely turned the table here. Khan and LaMelo Ball have been great together. They just need a little bit more help to be serious. But I think they could beat the 10-seeded Heat. And then Charlotte would have to go to Orlando if they won this game. And I did it. There's just something wrong with Orlando, man. I don't think we're talking about a Paulo trade yet, but I think something like this would maybe get them to. It was just so weird. We thought that the Desmond Bane trade would be great, and their team just can't score any points. So I picked Charlotte because they just have better shooters. All right, let's go into the first round. Detroit plays Charlotte in my scenario here. Charlotte's a year away. This is Detroit's year. Detroit beats them in 5, whether Cade's there or not. That's how I looked at it. The next series, 4 Cleveland, 5 Toronto. I think Toronto's just a whole tier down of Cleveland here. I don't think this is going to be a close series. I got Cleveland winning 4-1. Just really good defensive team, whether they're crazy or not over there in Cleveland. The next game, though, New York and Atlanta, the 3-6. New York and Atlanta are both pretty banged up. They both played great games against each other this year. I will pick New York in 7. I think Atlanta needs one more scorer, so naturally Kuminga will be a huge X factor here. Maybe even Buddy Hield, too. We'll see. But if they want to do real damage, they need 25 from Kuminga. I'm not sure if he's got that in him yet, so I picked the Knicks. No upset there. And then Boston-Philly, that's a sweep. Boston's been awesome, even though they have a rivalry. On to the next round, last 4 in the East, Detroit and Cleveland. I ended up picking Detroit in 6. They were the 1 seed for a reason. I didn't think it was their year. Turns out it was. They find guys like Dennis Jenkins from St. John's to fill in for Cade and play an awesome point guard while he's been out. Just a really deep team. Jalen Duren, really good too. And then Boston, New York. Man, I did pick 6 games. Would love to go 7. I picked Boston. Feel like Boston has been beating them head to head when Tatum's been back. And the Knicks are really injured, not just a little banged up like some of these other teams. Eastern Finals, Detroit and Boston. Every time I turn on the Celtics, they're beating the shit out of somebody. Jason Tatum has become a true elite point forward after his time. I think just watching the game and rehabbing and really become a point guard. And I'm going to take Boston in 7 to go back to the finals, even though I don't know if we thought Jason Tatum would even be back in time for the playoffs, but it's been great for them. That'll set up the OKC Boston finals, one I want to see really badly. Tatum and Brown would instantly become one of the most legendary duos of all time if they pull this thing off. But I feel like OKC has one more year. I think they're eventually going to get the, oh shit, we have too many guys problem. That's going to kick in eventually. But once they retool it, we'll see when we get there. But we're not there yet because SGA is probably going to be the MVP again. He's probably going to be the MVP of this series if they get there. Holmgren and J-Dub have been excellent for number 2, number 3 for him. Endless 3-and-D options. Their defense would give Boston so many issues in this series. I took OKC in 6. I got SGA winning his 2nd finals MVP in a row, sparking some nasty online arguments through the entire summer if that does happen.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree. I think I'd like to see Boston Thunder as well too. I mean, I think I'd probably prefer Thunder weren't in the finals just from a logistical perspective. But I think for the point of a good series, I think Boston OKC would be a fun one. And I think I'd probably lean the other way, although I think I'd want Boston to win. So, yeah. On to the NFL draft.
I just wrote it down here because that's what's happening next week. We always forget, like, what are we doing next week? Yeah, we'll talk about the NFL draft. Lot of fallers more so than risers these days. Just the time of year where the news comes out where you find out a guy got arrested, like Ruben Bain, and he doesn't go number 2.
A little bit more than getting arrested.
Yeah, a little bit more with him. I personally am hoping for one of the Ohio State guys, not David Bailey. I'm hoping they're off on that. I mean, we already got Will McDonald. That seems like the same dude to me, but we'll see when we get there. We'll see next week.
Yeah, I think next week we could probably do a 1 through 32 mock draft, not 1 through 245 or whatever. That would be
Yeah.
a little bit too much. 1 through 32, I think, is probably a good way. Maybe we'll grade them the week after. I don't know. Who knows? We'll figure that out. Because obviously we do want to do some NFL draft stuff next week and the following weeks after the picks happen. But yeah, that's pretty standard protocol at this point of the year. Layups bowl predictions before we get on out of here. 2 weeks ago, we didn't have anything last week because there was no episode. I had the Yankees over Seattle on Wednesday. That did happen. It goes green. I forget exactly what that was. Probably the Schlittler start, I think I took. So
Okay.
that goes green. Skyler had Arizona to win the Natty.
Congrats, Sean.
They don't even make it to the Natty. No congrats to Alex. It's kind of a lot. Wow. But obviously Arizona does not win that. This week, we're kind of aligned here. I have Milwaukee over Toronto on Wednesday. This is Chad Patrick versus Dylan Cease. Chad Patrick's been really good. Dylan Cease has been good as well, too, but I think Milwaukee lineup is the type of lineup that gives him fits. And the Toronto lineup just right now has not been that good. So I think it's another couple of days of still sucking for the Blue Jays.
Completely on the same page with you. I'm going Thursday. That's Patrick Corbin against Brandon Sprout, who also hasn't been great, but I think I would trust him to go a little longer than Patrick Corbin. And like we said, man, we're still buying Toronto stock. This is just not the Toronto team I'm buying right here. I'm not buying Patrick Corbin and Schneeman or Schneider. Thank you, sheesh, as my two hitter or whatever their lineup's going to be that day against Milwaukee.
2 weeks ago, bold prediction was the Tampa Bay Rays over the Milwaukee Brewers on a Wednesday. That was Jacob Mezorowski's start. I think I thought Tampa Bay would have not their way against them, but get something across, and they believe it was Rasmussen going against it. Did not go that way. They lose that one. Taylor had the A's over Houston on Friday. That's Javier versus Jeffrey Springs. Big win for the A's that day. I believe they won 11-4. Jeffrey Springs has been really good. Hopefully he's really good again tonight against Mackenzie Gore. If you're listening to this, then you probably already know how that game went. But regardless, that went green. This week, I have the Angels over the Yankees on Wednesday. I've actually liked the Angels most of the series against the Yankees. Their lineup is good. I know Kikuchi wasn't good last night, but I like Detmers, who is pitching today. I believe they're still winning right now, unless something crazy happened, which might have, considering how yesterday's game went. But tomorrow is Louis Eel versus probably Sam Aldigari. It looks like for the Angels, it's currently TBD, but I believe he's probably the guy who's going to get to start here. I like it. The Angels get a win. The lineup's good enough. Louis Eel's fastball's not good enough. So give me the Angels to win this and maybe even potentially a series in the Bronx this week.
I got another AL West matchup over here. I got the Texas Rangers winning in Seattle Friday night. That's Jacob deGrom against Logan Gilbert. I think Gilbert's going to be fine. He just hasn't been as sharp as deGrom. When deGrom is healthy, I'm always betting on him. And with Seattle's lineup already not on fire, we'll say right now, I will take Texas to steal one with their best pitcher on the mound.
That does it for episode 288. Next week, like we talked about, NFL draft stuff, maybe a little bit of baseball. I don't know. It depends how that stuff shakes out. Probably the player, pitcher, rookie of the week, of course. But I don't know. Maybe something else in there as well too. NBA playoffs will be getting going. The NHL playoffs, I believe, will be getting going at that point as well too. No Sharks, but still a fun season. A's will still be in the stretch of playing all these games. I believe they'll be in Seattle at that point, so we'll be playing a bit of a heated series there. Hopefully A's are still over 500. Hopefully our bets cash, and hopefully the stock that we held or bought more or sold is trending that way. Any closing remarks?
Let's go Dubs. Let's get it done tomorrow. Don't roll
If
over.
we lose before we get into the playoffs, do we get into the draft lottery?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's lose tomorrow. Let's get into the lottery
tomorrow or Friday or Thursday, they would still get into the lottery. So that's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Let's lose tomorrow. Let's go up to number one because the NBA needs to save the Warriors.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what happens. It's what happens in the NBA. Cooper Flag, number one, but to the Mavs. But regardless, we'll see you guys next week. Episode 289. Getting close to 300.
Almost there. Almost got our 300th win, Kyle.
For what? For this?
To get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay. So we're 288 0.
Yep.
No episode's been a loss.
No misses.
I get that. There we go. All right. Maybe the ones with Alex. Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see you next week.
That's a rebuild to start the franchise. No expansion franchise competes right away. So.
All right. Sounds good. Adios.